So, dear, you're the one usually in charge of the mic, so what's this experience been like sharing it?
I mean, I'd be lying if I were to say that it was seamless, but we've always worked really well together. So I knew at the end of the day, there was going to be a lot of work. It was going to be a lot of fun. I think one thing I had to get over for myself was that I'm a bit of a control freak.
Well, get ready to lose full control because we are about to dive deep into what makes David, right? And what fuels him.
Well, spoiler alert, it's coffee and a weird mix of chaos and organization.
Which I think most would call anxiety.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh.
You add those three together.
Oh,
that's
gosh.
Just anxiety.
Hello, everyone. I'm David.
And I'm Jay Brandon, and
This is Husbantr,
the podcast where we talk about careers, relationships, and some life lessons we picked up along the way.
but from the point of view of two queer married men of color.
Please note, we are not professional lawyers, doctors, therapists, life coaches.
But sometimes the lessons you learn from your friends are the ones that end up sticking, so stick with us.
Husbantr is genuinely a space for anyone that wants to gain insight from a different perspective.
And that includes you.
All right, we are kicking it off with our first segment,
Word of the Gay.
Today's word of the gay is...
beard.
A beard is typically a woman that a man marries in order to hide the fact that he's gay. Today's word of the gay was brought to you by marriage equality.
Okay, it is time to shine a spotlight on my husband.
Oh, you know I love a spotlight.
Oh, I know you do.
Hey.
No, but seriously, we are going to dive deep into what makes you, right? What makes you turn into the person that I fell in love with. Because I love you.
Oh, I love
do.
you.
And, as always, we are going to be intertwining a lot of our relationship into what we talk about because honestly, I wouldn't be anywhere we're in life without you, without your support. So cue those tissues. But before we get too sentimental, let's just get right into it.
Let's get right into it. Let's
Okay.
do this thing.
Okay. First question. If money, time, and logistics weren't an issue, what's one dream project you'd pursue right now and why?
I mean, I'm really enjoying doing this.
Yeah?
So I feel like I want to see this grow. I want to see this continue to develop. And it's a dream of mine to have a talk show, to be a host of a talk show.
Yeah.
I've always loved the idea of working with people. So I've never really thought of myself as having my own solo talk show. No one out there listening, if you're considering, I will do it.
He'll do it.
But I really like the idea of a co-host.
Okay.
So this has been a lot of fun. I
like
would
a
love-
David and Friends.
Yeah.
Or,
Yes.
I mean, it could be cute.
they love that.
Right? I mean, call him. Okay. So I love that. I think that's great. I can totally see that working.
But this, I'm going to see this grow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I love that. Me too. I mean, even though it's about you. Okay, so bringing it back to you, we have alluded several times now to your coming out story, or your coming out stories, I should say. So for everyone watching and listening, can you please let us in on that?
Yes. Well, I came out so many times. And I know that a lot of people had to come out to different groups of people. Sure. I had to do that. I'll talk specifically about my experience at home. I came out to my mom 8 times. 8. So it was not easy. The very, very first time I actually came out to my parents, you and I were dating. Mm-hmm. I came home late. I didn't really have curfew, but there was just an understanding of what time I should have been home.
Right.
Came home late, went to say goodnight. They were in their rooms. My parents yelled at me about coming home late. They alluded to something about me spending too much time with you. Mm-hmm. And I just snapped and I screamed that I was gay and I slammed the door. Oops. And I went upstairs and
it was a pass assault.
It was a pass the salt moment for those watching at home or listening. A pass the salt is when you've just let something build up and someone simply says, "Can you pass the salt?" And then you lose it.
How dare you ask me for the salt?
Yeah, I don't know if this was necessarily a pass the salt because we were fighting already.
Yeah.
But I just took this moment because it was about you and spending time with you to let them know. And I went upstairs and I just cowered in my room. I was so scared. Ended up falling asleep eventually. When I came downstairs that morning, there was the biggest spread. And I'm telling you as someone, if you know my family, there's always a spread.
Always a spread.
This was the largest breakfast spread.
I couldn't imagine what
It
that
was
would look like.
it was massive, and my mom comes and says, "David, don't say things like you said last night to your father. That you don't want to say silly things like that." And I just like cowered it away.
Yeah.
I eventually came out several other times. I was told to do a prescription of prayer and think about it and come back. A year later, I did that, came out again. I came out on the 4th of July to my father because it was my own Independence Day.
All right. Talk about fireworks.
When I came out, right. When I came out to my dad that year, I went to my mom with my sister. My Aunt Evelyn knew, but she made sure that I told my mother she didn't know. She was like, don't tell your mother I know.
Like, don't include me.
Don't include me
Yeah,
in this.
I
So
understand.
me and my sister did. My sister loved being at all of my coming outs. And we told my mom in the living room. It's important to note that we told her in the living room because there's a carpet there. Things were never boring in my home. So
course.
when I told her that, probably the 4th or 5th time at this point, I told her I wanted to tell my dad. And she panicked and she slid off the couch onto the floor. I know. And I was like, oh my God, what do we
It's like
do?
a novella.
And then, yeah, like a total novella. And then she snapped immediately and goes, tell him right now. And I was like, whoa.
Oh, no time to breathe.
Oh, no, none at all. So I told my dad, I started crying, and his first reaction was, oh shit, how'd that happen? And then my mom came over and hugged me.
Yeah.
And then my sister was sitting there already hugging me. And my dad is so sweet. And he goes, can I have a hug? It was really sweet. And then it lasted for a little while, but then it all kind of went away again.
Okay.
I came out a couple more times after that.
Oh boy.
And I think the last official, hey everybody, I'm gay, was after you proposed, and we had to go tell my parents that we were engaged.
Yeah, that was
in that one. I pointed out the living room previously. We were sure, my sister was there again. We were sure to tell my mother in the kitchen because it was hard floor, no carpet, and we knew she wasn't going to fall. She had fallen for a couple of the coming outs.
Well, that's great. Okay, so that actually, you had said something in your answer that you were given sort of a prescription to pray on it. Because a lot of people don't know, but you are not like a devout religious person, but you are religious. There's a cross in our home, and you kiss it 3 times every night.
Yeah.
You are definitely have religion built inside of you. So I would be curious to know, how did that color your coming out experience in general?
Oh, completely. It was a really big part of my whole journey as a queer closeted person. It was a part of my whole journey in coming out. It was a lot of the discussions around coming out with my family.
Yeah.
And it was hard for me. I love Jesus. I do. I love Jesus. I do. Like you said, I have my cross that I kiss every night. Being Catholic for me is less about Catholicism and more about the traditions that my grandmother taught me. It's something that my mother, who I love dearly, really, really is devoted to.
Yeah.
And to let that go because some organization run by a bunch of men who think that they know better doesn't feel right to me. But I will say, when I was younger, I did go to church every Sunday. I was the head altar server of our church. I not only served multiple masses, but I would then go and be a spectator in the mass. I was an attendee. I was in church a lot.
Yeah.
And I always thought to myself that I would never come out, that I would be married to a woman, my beard. And I really, really believed this. I really, really did.
Wow.
I never, ever imagined that coming out was a possibility. And it was because of my connection to the church and everything that I was being told growing up in the church.
Wow. That's really intense. So when you say that you really believed it, was there like a little something in there saying like, you can get out of this, like, or not get out of this, but like life can be different, or like, what was that? What was the voice that made you go, wait, life is different?
Theater. Theater was that voice. Being in theater and seeing different expressions of people and getting to meet so many different types of people, at least from around like the region of the state where we lived.
Yeah.
It changed my perspective. I was no longer this siloed person who was just with my parents, just with the school people that I grew up with. Moving into high school and getting to know a bunch of different people. My high school was so diverse. There was queer people in my high school who dyed their hair different colors and wore platform
I was
shoes.
the queer person in my high school.
So people like you made a possibility like in the back of my mind, but I still didn't think it was possible for me. I didn't think that my parents would ever accept me as queer. No matter how much they love me, I just didn't think that was a reality.
Your parents now are 100%, 150% our biggest proponents. Like they love us, support us.
Yeah.
Everything that you could
People who know them
possibly
now
imagine.
would never believe.
So, we've been talking a lot about your queerness and your queer identity. But I'm interested to know, being a person of color, how has that shaped the way that you walk through life? And, even like your perspective of our marriage or just your perspective in general?
I think that for a long time, my Latinidad was just who I was, right? Like I would go to my friend's house smelling like fried pork chops and tostones. And that was, oops, you didn't get any.
Because you do want some.
Because you do want some, and I know I smell good. And that was just that. And because I grew up in such a diverse city, diversity wasn't a thing for me. And it wasn't until I started working at New York City Pride for the very first time in 2016 that I realized, oh, wait, I'm different. And what was shocking to me was that I was different within the queer community. So I had already battled being a different person because I was queer.
Right.
Now I'm with what I thought was a safe space, and now I'm queer, but I'm not white.
Right.
I remember someone saying to me, someone that I worked with, a queer person. And again, I was silly to think that I was going to be 100% safe in that space, because where I felt unsafe was when I had to be a closeted
before you continue, you're not silly to believe that. It's just when circumstances change, prejudices change.
And I didn't know.
Right.
So this person turns to me and says, "You're Puerto Rican?" And I said, "Yeah." He goes, "Fully?" And I said, "Yeah."
Oh, yes.
He goes, "Both your mom and your dad?" And I said, "Yeah, 100%. And he goes, "Oh, it's funny. You sound educated." And I didn't understand the feeling that I was having, because if I'm being very honest, I didn't have a lot of that. I grew up in a predominantly Black and Latino and Asian community.
Right.
We didn't make each other feel bad for being people of color, because we were all people of color.
Right.
What I was normally made to feel bad about was being queer. So I was like, I'm in this queer space, I'm going to be safe. Wrong.
Right.
And so it took until my adulthood to realize, oh, there's differences everywhere.
Yeah.
And now I have to, what I thought was like, what the one mountain I thought I overcame, being queer and coming out, and now I have my family support and I feel fully me. Oh, wait, the world kind of sucks sometimes. And I now have to climb this other mountain that I didn't have to when I was young, which is being a person of color and having to deal with this added layer. And look at where we are in the country today.
We've been pretty serious. Let's lighten the mood, as you will. And I feel like this is going to be a fun one. So if you had to build a survival team for a zombie apocalypse, okay? But you could only pick people that are celebrities. That's it. Like super A-list celebrities or what have you.
Oh, they have to be A-list?
Oh, it could be celebrities. That's totally fine. But who's making the cut and why?
Jesse Williams.
Oh my God.
He just feels, I feel like I would be safe with him.
Because he is Dr. Avery.
Yeah, he's a doctor.
He's not a doctor on TV.
Yeah, but he probably has learned something. I've been working with her lately. Kate Chastain.
Ooh, I love that.
Because I will tell you why, Kate.
Yeah.
She has the most incredible dry humor.
Yeah.
Kate from Below Deck, Traders, reality TV show queen. She has dry humor. She also won't want to do a lot of the things that I also won't want to do.
So you'd have someone.
I'd have
with
someone
you.
to be like, I'm not building a hut.
But like, who's going to be your muscle? I mean, like who's going to be?
Jason Momoa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because
Well,
he's wild.
yeah,
He'll
he's
get out there
wild.
on the front lines.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah. And then Jonathan Bailey looks like he would run around barefoot, which somebody's got to run around barefoot, and it's not going to be me.
I love it.
I think that's a good.
All right.
crew.
That sounds like a
me
fun...
and Kate taken care of by Jonathan Bailey, Jason Momoa, and Jesse Williams. I think that sounds lovely.
Okay. So let's fast forward 20 years from now.
Okay.
Okay. What do you hope our life looks like together? Paint me the picture.
Ooh, 20 years from now, I will be in my early 60s.
I will still not be in my 60s.
You'll be right there. I have a different perspective on what that age looks like now, because there's people in our lives who are that age, and I'm like,
Yeah.
y'all are thriving.
Thriving.
So I'm ready to thrive. That's
Love that.
one.
Yes.
I don't plan on being retired
No.
because I love where my career is going, and I plan on working. Like me and Joy Behar, they're going to invite me to be a co-host on The View, and Joy's still going to be there,
I love it.
and I'm ready.
I love it.
And I want to travel a lot. I think that we're spending a lot of time right now so focused on our careers. I want us to be settled in our careers to the point where we're like, let's go take like 2-3 weeks, a month, and just go on
Just kind of
holiday.
explore.
Go on holiday.
That sounds beautiful. I want that.
Yeah,
I
I
want
think
that.
we're going to have it.
Okay, manifestation. Putting it on the manifestation. Okay, so what is one career decision that you made, and at the time you were like, this is a good idea, right? Or even actually, no, let me rephrase that.
Okay.
Career decision that you made, and at the time you felt it was a mistake.
Oh,
But then looking back in hindsight, you're like, no, that was the right choice.
yeah. That would be when I agreed to take on the executive director role at New York City Pride. So there was a transition. The executive director at the time was leaving. I was one of the more senior people on staff. We had just completed World Pride, and it was a huge success. And at a group lunch, our boss, he had told a few of us the night before, but he told the rest of the group together that day. And then at this lunch said that he was going to suggest that I step in as interim. It was a shock to me because the night before, that's not what he said. It was the exact opposite, actually. So maybe he slept on it and was like, great idea.
Yeah.
And I panicked, and I called you, and you said, do it. And I called my mother, and she said, do it. And I called my sister, and she said, do it. And I said, well, I have to call someone that's going to tell me not to do it. So I called my Aunt Anna, and she said, do it. And I was like,
So everybody was saying, girl, just go ahead and do it.
and I sobbed. I know we talk a lot about me not crying.
No, he does cry.
Right.
He cries, but just not nearly as much as I do.
Right.
I cry.
I also don't like to cry. So that's probably the main thing. But my Aunt
does
Anna
this
was
thing
like,
where
you
he
have to. Yeah, I have to tap my nose. My Anna was like, you have to do it. You have to. This is an opportunity. You have your voice heard. My aunt's always been a big proponent for my mother, who's been a community activist my whole life. So I think that's where her mind went.
Yeah.
So after I wiped away the tears, I was like, all right, pull up your bootstraps and let's do this thing, and negotiated it and took it on and quickly regretted it. So much so that by January of 2020, I had turned down the role. I didn't even, they were starting to do full interviews, and it was kind of alluded to that, yes, I had to go through the interview process, but I was probably going to be one of the top contenders because I was already doing the role and been in it.
And successful. I think you were very successful. You produced a televised Pride during pandemic.
Yeah, well, at that time, I didn't think I was even going to be doing it during pandemic.
Right.
I didn't even, pandemic wasn't a thing when I turned it down. It was January.
Yeah.
Pandemic hit in March, and I was like, oh my God, I'm stuck here, but at least I have a paycheck.
Yeah.
But what was really good was that I was able to keep everyone on staff, built really great rapport, and have lifelong friends with a lot of the people from the staff that year. And like you said, produced the first ever live event in New York City, which was a broadcast for the New York City Pride March, which now led to a lot of great production experience, which I knew already that I wanted to be a host and was going in that direction, but gave me the opportunity to do a lot of on-camera interviews and be in the media talking about Pride as the executive director of Pride, as the first Latinx executive director. There was a lot that I can attribute to my current success from that experience. So at the time, yes, scary and a mistake, but in the long run, really, I grew a lot. I learned a lot, and I appreciate having had that opportunity.
I love that. I always say, and you know, it's my daily mantra, everything happens for a reason. Everything.
Yeah.
And so I love that. That's a really great answer. Okay. Now, right now, what would you say is the biggest challenge that you're facing, and what are you doing to like work through it?
Me.
Ooh.
I'm the biggest challenge.
Okay.
I get in my own way because I have a way of communicating that I sometimes put on other people. But it was really hard to go from a regimented, when I get an email, this is the response I give. And I also, when I worked, I was like, if I can't get to an email, I at least send a person. If I told them I was going to get back to them, I send them an email and say, sorry, I'm going to get back to you. That's not how the world works.
At all.
Not at all. But look, people have their own way of working. People have their own schedules. People have things that they're doing. I'm not your top priority. I get it. Here, I need to like get it.
Like get it.
Get it.
Yeah.
So I get in my own way.
All right. Well, what are you doing to work through that though?
I am practicing patience.
Yes.
I am manifesting.
Yes.
I am journaling every morning and every night.
That's right.
Positivity and reminding myself of all the wins that I have throughout the day.
Yeah.
So if I send an email out that I'm hoping for a response to and I don't get it, okay, now I have to move away from that and I have to focus on what my wins were for the day.
Yeah.
And it's honestly really working. And sometimes I go back through the journal and I read them and I'm like, oh, wait, I did that.
Yeah. And you know, I think that expresses gratitude, right?
Yeah.
It expresses gratitude for where you are, where you've come from, what you're achieving, what you're going to achieve, which lets you kind of keep going in that world. I love that. So speaking of moving forward in your career, if you could create the ideal career path for the next 5 years, right?
Okay.
We talked about 20 years from now, but now we're just going short term.
Okay.
5 years. What would that career path look like? And how would you see that affecting our relationship?
I would love to have a more permanent, full-time, on-camera position as a co-host or host of a show. Something where I can just let the grind go for a little bit. Even if it's just the first couple months where I'm focused on onboarding. Like,
Sure.
I want to step away from my personal email for just a second and stop selling myself. I think that will make our slumber nights so much more fun.
Yeah.
And we can celebrate. I really look forward to the day that I get to bring you and my parents into a studio session where I am shooting my first episode of a show that I'm hosting.
All right.
I think that would be so exciting. And then
You heard it here. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. You heard it here first. I can't wait for that day.
Oh, I can't wait. But then for you and I think I'm just so excited for you to see the fruits of your labor because you've put so much effort into my career. You've put so much time into like building me up. And every time that I get anxious or nervous, you're the person that comes behind and says, why are you nervous? You got this.
Literally.
All the time. You're
It's
like,
true.
you got it. Don't worry about it. When I'm worried about where the next paycheck is going to come in, you're always there going, I got it until you got it.
Right.
Which I appreciate. So I can't wait for you to just like be able to take a breath and celebrate the work that you did to get me to where I want to be. And you're an incredible makeup artist. And I love when you do my makeup. So I would love
So you could hire me full time, girl.
Yeah, look.
I love it.
Keep the money in the family.
I know, that's right. Okay. We just talked about these 5 years from now, right? And obviously you're staying in the host industry, but if you had to step out of the industry, okay, and do another career completely, a different career path, what would you choose and why?
That's such a crazy question because you know that in my very young, short life thus far, that I've had a million careers.
It's true.
I've already done so many different. I have worked in banking.
Oh, okay, banking.
I worked at the front desk of a hotel.
Yep, hotel.
I worked in sales.
Sales.
I worked in event production. I planned weddings and bat mitzvahs and bar mitzvahs.
Yep.
I did corporate event planning.
Yep.
I was an entertainment booker.
Yep.
I moved into nonprofit.
Yep.
I did entertainment planning and production for I've done television production work. I mean, I've had a lot.
You all under the age of of 40.
Yeah,
I
all
mean,
under the age of
all-
40.
Yeah, that's insane.
So I guess if I had to make one more shift, oh my God, I'm gonna
You're like, one more.
I'm gonna
please, no
regret
more."
saying this.
Okay.
I'm gonna regret saying this because if my mother is listening to this episode,
Oh, boy.
she's gonna be so happy and she's never gonna let me live it down.
Oh.
It would be politics.
I could see that.
I don't know in what capacity.
Sure.
I am not a lawyer and would definitely need to get myself more well versed.
Yeah.
But I also wasn't an event producer before I was an event producer, and I also wasn't a host before I was a host. So you make it happen.
Right.
But especially now where we are in this country and what's happening, and the fact that the felon in chief continues to try to strip the rights away of people
It's terrible.
that don't look like him. I think that it's important to stay involved, and I give so much credit to the people that are. So, and my mom's always been involved in politics
Yeah.
and been a community
Yeah.
leader. So I think it's just like in me.
Yeah, I see that. Okay. All right. Okay. I'm going to ask you one last career question.
Okay.
At the end of your career, okay, I had a time theme for my questions. I don't
It's
know if
also never going to end. It's me and Joy Behar on The View.
Yeah, okay, but I mean, like at the very, very end, you're laying in the bed. Okay, you get what I mean. I'm not gonna say it, but at the end of your career, what do you think people will say about you? Like, what are they gonna talk about? Like, what will they remember about your work? What do you want them to say?
I hope that they say I was nice, that I was respectful, and that I was fair.
Okay.
Those are things that are very important to me. I hope that I had positive impact. There's so many people in my life that have positively impacted me, and that have opened doors for me, that I hope that I have the opportunity to do that. I don't want to sound pompous, but I feel like there have been opportunities in other aspects and other careers that I've mentioned previously that I was able to open doors for other people.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I just want to let you know as well. It's not pompous to say that you've opened the doors for other people, because that's the point of the work. Is we have to fight to get into the room so that we can keep the door open for
Yeah.
those behind us, right?
Yeah,
And
that's very
someone did it
important.
before us as well, so we're just passing it on. So
Yeah, I mean, we talk about this all the time, but gatekeeping is not a thing.
No, not
for
for me.
us. Like,
No.
come on in. I want people to be able to say that I was someone that had positive impact on them.
I love that. I know he also wants people to say that he was cute
Well, yeah,
and good hair. It's
Oh,
true.
the good hair is very important.
I love it. Okay, so speaking of good hair, right? Let's flip the script.
Okay.
What is one insecurity that you have that you don't talk about often? And like you struggle with it. And it could be within your career or just in your personal life, whatever it is. And how has that shaped the way you show up in our relationship?
I talk about it sometimes, but not at length. It would have to be the fact that I don't, even at 42 years old, I'm not over the amount of bullying that I had to deal with growing up. I was picked on a lot for being queer and closeted, and a little bit too feminine and a little weird and a little shy. And that sticks with you.
Yeah.
And I was lucky that by the time I got to high school, those things kind of faded, because my high school was so weird and diverse that like I wasn't the thing that was sticking out. And there was these brave kids, particularly the brave queer kids, who did stand out, and they kind of shielded the rest of us who were not as brave and closeted. But still, 4th grade through 8th grade was really rough. It was really tough. I mean, having gum put in my hair, being called. I mean, I remember 4th grade. I remember distinctly standing in the back of the 4th grade classroom where my teacher refused to call me David and insisted everyone call me David. She was one of my first bullies. Weird. Being called a gaylord for the first time, like that.
Gaylord?
No one even uses that term.
Like, what are you doing?
I don't even know what a gaylord is, but and that just sticks with you. And
Yeah.
and if I'm gonna be raw and honest, some of my bullying was at home too. Not my parents. My parents were incredible,
Right.
and they knew that they had someone that was different. And when I would come home crying because I was bullied, my dad would hug me and hold me, and my mom was like, who do we need to go fight?
Yeah.
What teacher
Yeah.
do I need to take on?
Yeah, that's how my brothers were.
Yeah.
I totally get it.
My sister was also ready to like go toe to toe. My brother wasn't.
Yeah.
And he was also one of my first bullies. And I still am in grappling with that. And it hurts my parents that, you know, they have 3 kids and 2 of them don't really speak. They wish that we would. And I wish that for them too.
Yeah.
But it's really a hard thing to get over. And it causes me a lot of insecurity. If I'm in a group of people and I see that I'm like left out to the side, I immediately start going back to that 4th grade place of, oh, well, I'm the outsider. They don't want to talk to me. I'm the weirdo. And it could just be that they just aren't talking to me in that
Right.
moment.
Just a
Don't
thing.
put me in a networking event by myself because I'm back in grammar school.
Right. Yeah. You feel a little left out. So maybe that sense of feeling left out, does that show up in our relationship, or like, do you know what I mean? Like,
I think it did at one point. I think around pandemic, I feel like I felt very alone.
yeah.
But in general, I felt alone. I felt alone being in a leadership position in a scary job that I didn't want. I felt alone in our 1-bedroom apartment when we weren't speaking because
Yeah.
pandemic ruined all of our lives. Yeah, I think it has shown up. I don't think that we're in that space now. Thank God. Though.
No. I think it's a different.
You're.
place
I'm.
altogether.
We just randomly look at each other some days and we go, "Did we hug today?" And we just hug, and it really is. It's healing to me.
It's definitely healing, and it's recharging, and it's refreshing, and it's like in that moment of the hug, it's like cares are gone.
Yeah.
Oh, I just want to hug you forever. Okay. All right, y'all. It is now time for Husbantr Hot Takes. It's that segment of the show where you get to know rapid fire, quick questions about us. And in this one, we're getting up to speed with David.
I
All
love
right.
that you're using my David up to speed. Y'all should also follow that.
It's David up to speed with the number 2. I just love it because too many people call you David, and that's not your name.
Correct. It's
David.
literally phonetically spelled in my signature line.
Day avec day. Get it together. Okay, so first Husbantr hot take. What's one thing that I spend way too much money on, but you secretly love that I do?
Oh, that's easy. Candy.
I love it. Oh my God, I buy so much. You're right.
I buy so much candy, and I'm like, oh, dude, we have to buy this. But then when I'm eating it, I'm so happy.
Fiona, you didn't hear that. What is your most unpopular opinion?
I think the Beatles are overrated. People get so mad at that.
I agree.
It's
I
like
agree.
I get that some of their songs are iconic, but
Sure. But it's just the Beatles aren't doing it for you.
no.
I got it. Okay. All right, next one. Ariana Grande or Cynthia Erivo?
That is evil. Why would you do that? Cynthia
to make a
Erivo,
choice.
obviously, but
You have to make a...
I just made it.
Oh, damn.
I
Cynthia.
said Cynthia Erivo, but that hurt.
We still love you, Ariana. Pickles, yay or nay? And if you say nay, you can never eat another pickle in my presence.
I could do whatever I want.
You know what?
First
Okay.
and foremost.
Pickles, yay or nay?
I'm gonna say yay.
Yay!
I don't want them everywhere,
I love them.
and I'm like you. I don't want bread and butter pickles. They're
No.
nasty.
That's the devil.
But I like the tang.
Okay, love that. Okay, in 3 words, because I had spoke about this person in the last episode. 3 words, your point of view of J-Lo. Go.
That's one.
Okay, so far we have
Gorgeous.
gorgeous. Okay,
Businesswoman.
businesswoman. Okay.
Yeah.
If our love life had a theme song, what would it be?
Best friend Jason Mraz. I love you.
Oh my God, you're gonna literally make me cry. I literally can't listen to that song because it makes me cry.
That's what we walked down the aisle to.
It is. Okay. And last question: what's a completely irrational fear that I have that you think is ridiculous?
Spiders.
What do you mean that's not irrational? They will kill you.
No, I mean, not all of them. And your reaction to them is, how many cars have you jumped out of?
3,
And were they moving?
all of them.
Ridiculous.
Once while I was driving.
Nope.
Truth.
Not okay.
It is okay.
You almost killed me once.
I'm literally sitting right here, and so are you. All of my choices were right.
Nope.
Yep.
Wrong.
All right, you've heard from us for the past couple episodes. I hope you're not getting tired of us, but we are so excited to welcome our very first Husbantr guest next week.
Yes!
I can't wait.
I am so excited. We are welcoming producers, directors, and power couple Cedric Lebo Jr. and Pierre Jean Gonzalez of Dominican Productions.
Yes, and you've interviewed them on some red carpets. We went out to dinner. We've had a great time. It's been a really great friendship, and now I can't wait to pick their brains.
That's right. We're bringing to you a new and different perspective.
You know, I loved your perspective today. I really loved today's episode.
Oh, thank you so much. I really appreciate getting the opportunity to share a little bit more.
You know, I mean, we can't keep the sparkle to ourselves.
Oh, no, we sure can't. And now you at home, make sure you are following us on Instagram and YouTube at Husbantr. That's HUSBANTR. And you can email us or DM us. If you email us at husbantr@gmail.com. Send us questions, stories. Get in on the banter with us.
Yes. And you know what? We love hearing from you. So make sure you check out our website, husbantrpodcast.com, where getting in touch with us is even easier, right? So don't forget, life is always better with a little banter.
Husbantr is hosted, written, and produced by David and J. Brandon Correa.
And our theme song is Snap Bracelet by Brain Tam. You can check them out on Instagram at brain__tam.